Hello, my name's James Conrad, and I'm your trainer for this Vista 70-622 Enterprise Support Exam. That's not actually the whole name of the exam. Microsoft calls it Exam 70-622, Supporting and Troubleshooting Applications on a Windows Vista Client for Enterprise Support Technicians. Wow! Isn't that a mouthful? So I figured it'd be better if we just abbreviated it, even though I just said the whole thing anyway. So here's what we're going to be taking a look at with the 70-622 series that we're about to embark on. First of all, if you look at the topic list or the objective list for this exam by looking at Microsoft's website, you'll see that it covers a broad range of topics. So we have a whole bunch of different things to discuss. One of the first and biggest things we'll be discussing here is deployment. That's going to really address quite a few different videos which we'll be addressing here. We'll also be talking about applications because they kind of go hand in hand in terms of their importance. I mean, what good does it do to deploy Windows Vista if your applications don't work? Your users have to be productive with their applications. So we'll take a look at ways that we can make those applications work with Windows Vista. Then we'll also take a look at group policy objects. This is another big topic within Windows Vista, and it's partially because it covers such a broad range of different things. It can cover everything from security to the desktop settings for the user, a whole bunch of different things, and therefore I've got a number of different nuggets, which this is what we call our videos. We call them nuggets in CBT Nuggets land, and we've got several that will address a number of different things there, as well as Internet Explorer 7. This is different in Windows Vista than it is if you download IE7 for, let's say, Windows XP. It is a totally different animal. It has a few different security configuration features and things like that, so it's not exactly the same probably as IE7 on XP that you might be used to. And then we'll take a look also at updates. Normally on Tuesdays, Microsoft releases some kind of update, patches or security fixes or critical updates or whatever for their operating systems. And you can download those from Microsoft or from what we call a WSUS server, and we'll be looking at a couple of different ways of getting and configuring those updates. Other things we'll be taking a look at with the 70-622 will be software restrictions. This has got some emphasis on the 70-622 exam. You need to understand how software restrictions work, and the main function of them is simply that we can prevent users from running given applications based upon our own criteria as administrators. These are very powerful and very difficult, if not impossible, to work your way around. So they are pretty powerful things that we as administrators have at our fingertips. We also have Windows Defender that appears on just about every Windows system nowadays, but this is also a pretty good built-in software product. It's actually something that Microsoft bought from another company. They took over another company to get the functionality within Windows Defender, and it does a pretty good job of protecting you against malware. Also, we have IPsec. Now, in the past, this has been exceedingly complex to configure, and a lot of people have just kind of thrown their hands up, in frustration, or they didn't really have the time to make it a full-time study the way you have to do when you first get started with IPsec, because it is pretty involved in previous operating systems. In Windows Vista, IPsec and the Windows Firewall are much easier to configure now. So they're very intuitive, comparatively speaking. Now, I've kind of put these two together because IPsec and Windows Firewall do go hand in hand, as you'll see, and you can configure things kind of back and forth here very easily. We'll also take a look at the resources that a user needs to access, whether it's printers, but even more often probably shares, whether they can have the appropriate NTFS permissions to access a resource. All those different kinds of things we'll address here as well. In addition, we talk about quite a few security issues with Vista 70-622, in addition to things such as the firewall, Windows Defender, IPsec, all of those things. We also address EFS, or the encrypting file system. We've had this for quite a few years, but it is critical that you understand how it works and how you can protect yourself in case files accidentally get encrypted that you cannot decrypt, and you will never decrypt if you lose the appropriate keys. So this will be a lifesaver because you could get in some real trouble with EFS if you don't have a recovery plan. And then we'll also talk about certificates. So much of security is based on certificates, and it's a good thing because certificates are very tight security, so you'll need to have some understanding of how those work. And then we'll look also at BitLocker. BitLocker is new with Windows Vista and also with Windows Server 2008, and this is a method that we have for encrypting our entire hard drive. Now, EFS encrypts files. BitLocker encrypts the entire hard drive, and it prevents us from being vulnerable to offline attack. For example, if your laptop gets stolen or something like that. Can be a little bit scary if you lose the keys, but we'll talk about that here as we go as well. And then we'll talk also about event forwarding. Hey, one of the big challenges that IT departments have is that they just cannot be everywhere at once. We have big networks that we have to manage and troubleshoot, but we can't be everywhere at once, so we'll bring troubleshooting events to us instead now with Windows Vista. We'll also take a look here at performance monitoring, as well as how to create and configure tasks, and also we'll finally conclude with a discussion of networking. It's very important to understand networking in all of the major aspects for just about any Microsoft exam, and we'll look at the things that are distinctive for the 70-622. Well, I'm really looking forward to working through all of these topics with you. It's an exciting operating system to work with many new features that we'll, I think, really enjoy getting to know. So let's go ahead and get started.